I will now use a cross hands technique, where your hands form an X, or a cross. When your opponent punches, step left and catch their punch with a cross hands block. Now bring his arm down and around and up. When his arm is horizontal to the shoulder and the floor, sweep his back leg out from under him. Take him to the ground. Again, using the cross hands technique, when the opponent punches, you can change the cross hands block like this. Now their arm is trapped against your body. And you can twist their fist counterclockwise. If you want, you can push his head away and guide him to the ground. This part of his arm is immobilized by your hold. Put your knee into his shoulder. If you put enough pressure on his arm, it will break. When the opponent punches you with his right, sidestep to your left, and you will cross behind with your right as you parry the punch. Your opponent's entire side is left open, allowing you to counter. Hit him with a palm attack as you continue moving to the left. Your opponent will react by doubling over. At this point, you will sweep his back leg with your right leg. Make sure your sweep is low, or it will not be effective. A hit to the knee will not knock him down, so sweep low. Then the whole body will collapse to the ground. It is a simultaneous impact of the palm strike to the body and the sweep to the leg that will send your opponent to the ground. Using the same footwork as punch counterattack 7, hit your opponent with the palm strike to the body, and then bring your hand up into the upward ridge hand to the chest as you continue advancing forward. By hitting your opponent in the stomach first, you double him over. When you hit him in the chest, you knock him back. Now we will apply the same type of movement to an opponent with their right leg forward and punching. You move the same as punch counterattack 6, giving him a palm attack to the body. Only this time, you hook their front leg with your right leg. As you pull their leg out, push the small of their back forward with your left as you pull back your right palm. This takes him to the ground. Now we'll do it again a little faster. If your opponent punches you with their right, catch their arm with a double block at the wrist and behind the elbow. Roll your arms and press down. This will take him to the ground. If your opponent punches with his left, you can do a double block like this to break his arm. You can also move towards his back leg as you turn a double block into an arm bar. Now add a leg sweep and your opponent will find himself on the ground. Once they're on the ground, you can control them with an arm bar like this. Here is a technique to counter the classic sleeper hold. First, tense up the muscles in your neck to protect yourself. Reach up and clamp your hands on top of your opponent's elbows like this. With your right hand, press down to relieve the pressure off your neck, while you push their elbow up with your left hand. Once their arms are separated, turn your body clockwise. At this point, push your opponent's elbow up with your left hand while you simultaneously pull his elbow back with your right. Pivot your right foot and sweep out his leg with your left. Now your opponent is on the ground. This is an easy technique to do. It all depends on whether you can push up and down simultaneously. If you can do that, then once you turn, it's all over. Don't let your opponent get too close, because then they have more leverage, which is bad for you. Here is another counter to the sleeper hold. The beginning is the same as choke counter 1. But once you reach this point, ignore the bottom arm and move both hands to the top to apply an arm bar. Take a step back as you apply pressure down and take your opponent to the ground. This technique is also very easy to do. Once you switch hands, you must be precise with your movement. To control your opponent, apply pressure in opposite directions. One hand pushing forward, one hand back. Again, you can push your knee on top of them for extra control. Another technique against the sleeper uses the same initial escape as choke counter 1. Once you turn your body, to this point, slide your hand down their arm and get a good grip on each of your opponent's arms and cross his arms across his body. Continue applying pressure until your opponent is on the ground. Switch your hands and apply an arm bar on your opponent using his own arm, pushing one arm forward while pushing the other back. Make sure their bent arm is underneath the elbow of their straight arm. One important thing to note is when you get here, swing his arm across the body. The leverage of this move will take your opponent down. From a sleeper hold, you can also throw your opponent. First, press down on your opponent's elbow as you take a step back with your left leg. Bending forward with your body, use your hip to throw your opponent to the ground. From here, straighten your opponent's arm and apply pressure to the joint. To make sure you don't lose their arm, roll it between your hands until you can apply pressure. When someone tries to tackle you and grabs you around the waist, move back as you push his shoulders down until his arms drop down to your knees. When he tries to lift you off your feet, push down on his shoulders as you jump back onto your knees. His hands will now be trapped by your legs. He cannot escape while your hands are free to do whatever you want. Make sure when you jump back that you sit on his hands. When someone charges you and grabs you by the waist, step back and grab your opponent's head by the ears. Not like this, but like this. Now rotate his head upward as you turn your body, and you will throw your opponent off of you. The key to this technique is turning the head. So make sure you move both hands at once. Against the same rushing technique, step back as he grabs your waist. Then grab his body instead of his head. Grab the body on both sides. As you step back, turn your body and waist as you guide him with your hands and throw him with his own momentum. Once your opponent grabs your leg, take a step back, causing your opponent to take a step forward to stay upright. At this point, you advance forward like this to take him down and control him. When you take a step back, he follows. Now step forward and down. This will take him to the ground. Now you can pin his arms down or hit him. Another option is to apply an arm bar like this. This will prevent him from doing anything more.